Edward twins, Collins and Clinton, were born into wealth and status. At 31, the brothers were inseparable, sharing almost everything: luxury cars, real estate, business ventures, and a reputation that stretches across the city. They came from an illustrious lineage, the only sons of Gregory and Patricia Edwards, who had built an empire of international businesses, including a tech company that the twins now managed. Their life seemed like a fairy tale, full of lavish parties, exotic trips, and expensive suits tailored for success. However, despite their outward similarities, there was a stark difference between the two brothers. Clinton, the older twin by a mere 7 minutes, was more adventurous, charming, and polished. He had a notorious reputation as a playboy. Women adored him, and he basked in their attention. His escapades were the subject of gossips, and he enjoyed every moment of it. To Clinton, life was a series of conquests, and women were a fleeting pleasure. He believed in tasting every experience with no strings attached. Collins, on the other hand, was a quiet twin. Though just as charismatic and handsome as his brother, he was more reserved, thoughtful, and introspective. He stayed out of the spotlight, preferring to focus on their family businesses and live a more grounded life. Collins had always been the responsible one, managing their corporate empire with a high level-headed approach. He didn't chase after thrills like his brother, but instead secretly nurtured deeper feelings for Zita. Zita, a 27 years old beautiful and intelligent lady who had grown up in a humble background. She had worked hard to make her way through university and secure a position as Clinton's PA. Despite her background, Zita carried herself with grace and poise, never letting her circumstances define her. She had seen firsthand parade of women that came and went out of his life, and as a result, she had grown skeptical of men like him. The problem was, she assumed Collins was just like his brother, given how close they were. Zita admired Clinton from afar, but kept her distance. In her eyes, there was no real difference between the two brothers. They were cut from the same clothes, so she thought. Every day, she watched as Clinton flirted shamelessly with women and enjoyed their company, and she silently assumed Collins did the same behind the scenes. After all, they shared everything, right? Wealth, reputation, and women. Zita often found herself pondering why she found Collins more intriguing than Clinton. It wasn't just his looks, though the Edwards twins were undeniably handsome, with their sharp jawlines, deep blue eyes, and perfectly styled dark hair. There was something deeper about Collins, something that hinted at a man with layers she hadn't yet peeled back. But Zita held her feelings in check. She had no interest in being another fleeting romance in a rich man's life. What Zita didn't know was that Collins had been in love with her for months, maybe longer. He had been drawn to her the moment she started working for his brother. Her intelligence, grace, and warm smile had captivated him, but he kept his feelings to himself, especially from his brother Clinton. Collins knew how Clinton pursued women for fun, and he didn't want Zita to be treated the same way. He was determined to win her hearts, but he was unsure of how to make his intentions clear without her assuming he was just like Clinton. Clinton, on the other hand, had his eyes on Zita for a different reason. She was a challenge. Unlike the other women who fell at his feet, Zita seemed immune to his charms. This intrigued him, and he made it his mission to win her over, even if just for the thrill of it. He began to flirt with her more aggressively, using every opportunity to compliment her, inviting her to dinner, and make her feel special in hopes of breaking down her defenses. Zita, however, kept her distance. She saw through Clinton's playboy antics and was determined not to be another conquest in his long list of women. Still, there was something about his persistence that made her wonder. She tried to ignore the subtle flutter in her stomach every time he looked at her in a certain way. She reminded herself that Clinton was nothing than a flirt and that getting involved with him would only lead to heartbreak. But Clinton wasn't one to give up easily. His pursuit of Zita intensified, though it wasn't fueled by any real emotional connection. He wanted to experience her, to get a taste of one woman who hadn't fallen for him. Little did Clinton know that his brother Collins had been silently watching the entire time, growing more and more frustrated. Collins was torn. He loved Zita deeply, but his brother's relentless pursuit of her only complicated things. Clinton had no idea about Collins' feelings, and Collins had no intention of telling him. For months, Collins had been wrestling with how to approach Zita without her lumping him together with Clinton. One evening, Collins found himself at the office late, unable to leave as he saw Zita working overtime. Her dedication only deepened his affection for her. He wanted to talk to her, to finally make his feelings known, but before he could gather his courage, Clinton appeared. "Zita, how about we grab a drink tonight? You've been working too hard," Clinton said smoothly, leaning against the desk. Zita looked up, her expression cool but polite. "Thank you, sir, but I still got work to finish." Clinton smiled. "Suit yourself, but one day you realize you deserve a little fun in your life." Collins watched from the doorway. He couldn't take it anymore. He had to make his move before Clinton crosses the line. The office was quiet, with only the soft hum of air conditioning and the clacking of Zita's keyboard breaking the silence. Collins stood in the hallway, his mind racing. Tonight was the night. He couldn't wait any longer. Clinton's playful pursuit of Zita had gone too far, and Collins feared that if he didn't act fast, he could lose her to his brother's fleeting charms. Summoning his courage, Collins walked towards Zita's desk. She looked up, startled by his sudden presence. "Mr. Collins," she said, "you're still here." He nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. "Yeah, I have quite a lot to do." Zita smiled. "All right, sir. I would like to tell you something, Zita." "Is everything okay, sir?" Zita asked. Collins hesitated, searching for the right words. He wasn't good with emotions. Clinton had always been the smooth talker, the one who effortlessly charmed his way into people's hearts. But this wasn't about charm. This was real. He began. I've been wanting to tell you something for a while now. I do not know how this will sound, but I just need to do this. So the thing is, I really care about you, Zita. I love how you work. I love how you're diligent. I love how you take your work so seriously. And I've really come to like you so much. And I know you might think, I'm just like Clinton, but I'm not, okay? I've liked you for a while now, and I'm thinking you could, oh my God. Collins was shy. He took a deep breath. Zita's breath caught in her throat. Of all the things she had expected, this wasn't one of them. She stared at Collins, her mind racing, and he continued. "Zita, all I'm saying is, I really like you and I hope you give us a chance." Zita pretended like she didn't get the memo and she replied, "Oh, we can be friends, of course. We can be friends. I don't see anything wrong with that." "I do not mean friends like friends," Collins explained. "I mean, Zita, I've come to love you. Okay, I really do love you, and I'm hoping you give us a chance, and I promise I'm no way like my brother. I am different from my brother." Zita was surprised. "You're serious, sir?" she asked. Collins nodded. "I'm very serious, Zita. I've been trying to hide this, but I can't anymore. Every time I see Clinton flirting with you, It drives me crazy because I know he's not serious. But I am, Zita. I've always been. Zita's heart pounded. She had always lumped Collins with his brother, assuming he was just as carefree and disinterested in anything serious. But now, looking into his eyes, she could see the sincerity and the vulnerability. I've heard all you said, sir, and I'll think about it and give you feedback. Take your time, Zita. I'll be expecting a feedback from you. The next few days at work were tensed. Zita avoided Collins as much as possible, her mind still racing from his confession. She hadn't spoken to Clinton about it, unsure of how to even bring it up. Clinton continued his usual antics, flirting with her at every given opportunity, unaware of the emotional storm brewing beneath the surface. Zita found herself constantly comparing the two brothers in her mind. Clinton was exciting, always charming and full of life, but there was something superficial about it. She had never been able to take him seriously, even though his advances sometimes made her feel butterflies in her belly. But Collins was different. His confession had stirred something in her, something she never expected. It wasn't just his words, but the way he said them to her, so full of emotion, so real. But Zita was afraid. She had spent so long guarding her heart, wary of rich and powerful men like Clinton, who only saw women as temporary amusement. Was Collins truly different, or was he just better at hiding his true nature? One evening, after a particularly long day at the office, Zita found herself alone in the break room when Clinton walked in. "You're awfully quiet today. What's on your mind?" Clinton asked. Zita sighed, unsure of what to respond. "Sir, can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything," he replied. "Sir, I want to know why you're always flirting with me." Collins laughed, taken aback by the question. "Why not? You're beautiful, of course, smart, so any man would like you." Zita frowned. "That's not what I mean, sir. Like, you flirt with everyone, so what's the point?" "Well, I guess I like the thrill of it. I like seeing if I can win someone over. It's all in good fun." Zita's heart sank. That was exactly what she had feared. Clinton wasn't serious. Not about her, not about anyone. It was all a game to him. Zita forced a fake smile. Clinton's smile faded completely. "Zita, what is this about?" Zita shook her head. "It's about your brother, Collins." "What about my brother?" he asked. Zita took a deep breath, unsure of how to reveal. "He told me he has feelings for me." Clinton's eyes widened in surprise. For the first time, he was at a loss for words. Clinton stared at her, his mind racing. He had always seen Zita as just another challenge, but hearing his brother had deeper feelings for him changed everything. He hadn't expected this, hadn't even considered that Collins might be in love with her. Clinton couldn't shake the weight of Zita's words as he left the break room. He felt a bit of jealousy and even guilt. He made his way to Collins' office, needing to confront him about this revelation. As soon as he entered, Collins looked up from his desk, surprised but also wary of his brother's serious expression. "We need to talk," Clinton said, shutting the door behind him. Collins stood up, sensing the gravity of the moment. "What's this about?" he asked. "Zita told me your little confession," Clinton said. "What did she say?" Collins asked. "She said you love her. Is it true?" Collins sighed. "Yes, of course. I love her. I've been in love with her for a long time." Clinton let out a bitter laugh. "You're really serious about this, huh? You've been hiding this from me?" "Because I knew how you would react." Collins shot back. You treat everything like a game, Clinton. But Zita isn't a game to me. Clinton's expression hardened with anger. You think I don't care about her? You think so, Collins? I think you care more about winning than you do about her, Collins said. You've been playing with her feelings. She deserves better than that. The both brothers stared at each other. There was a moment of unspoken emotion. For the first time in their lives, the bond between them felt fractured. They have never argued before like this. It was shocking to them. And Clinton asked, "So what happens now? You expect me to just back off because you have feelings for her? I expect you to respect the fact that this isn't just about a fling for me," Collins replied angrily. "I am in love with her, Clinton, and I am not going to let you hurt her. For the first time in my life, I am making my intentions known to a lady. And I do not know why she even told you about it." "Of course she will," Clinton said. "She works for me, so she will tell me about it." Without another word, Clinton pushed Collins and stormed out of his office. That evening, Zita sat in her apartment, consumed by the twins' thoughts. Clinton's reaction had left her unsettled. There was something in his eyes when she had confronted him, something raw and real that she hadn't expected. Could Clinton actually care about her too? Or was it just his pride that had been wounded? She wondered. She had always wanted to separate her work life from her personal life, but this was too complicated. She was falling for Collins. She had always liked him, of course, but she couldn't help but think back to the countless times Clinton had flirted with her. There had been moments where she laughed at his antics, feeling the pull of his charms despite herself. But she had always kept him at arm's length, wary of getting too close to someone who seemed to treat women like trophies. Now, she wasn't so sure. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Collins, and it says, "Can we talk at the coffee shop down the street in 20 minutes? 20 minutes later, Zita joined Collins at the coffee shop. Collins began, "Thanks for meeting me. I really appreciate that." Zita responded, "I'm glad you reached out." There was an awkward silence between them for a moment before Collins finally spoke up. "Zita, I'm sorry for how I dropped a lot on you the other day. I mean, I didn't intend to put you in a difficult position, but I had to tell you how I felt." Zita looked at him and replied, "I appreciate your honesty, Collins, really I do, but I need time to process everything." "I get it, Zita," Collins replied. "I know it's too much for you to handle, but I need you to know that whatever decision you take, I would respect it." Zita's heart ached at the sincerity in his voice. She knew Collins wasn't like Clinton. He was steady, thoughtful, and caring. Everything she wanted in a partner. But Clinton's unpredictability, his magnetic charm, still lingered in her mind, making her doubt her own feelings. "Thank you so much, Collins," Zita said. Meanwhile, Clinton sat on his bed with a glass of whiskey in his hands. He couldn't shake off the image of Zita and Collins together. The thought of his brother winning over him weighed heavily on him. For the first time, he questioned himself. He wondered if he wanted her for the right reasons, or was it just a challenge or a way to prove to himself that he could have her other than his brother? Days passed, and Collins gave Zita the space she requested, but every moment apart from her felt like an eternity. He couldn't stop thinking about her. Their brief conversations, the way she looked at him. He was so in love with her. But Clinton, on the other hand, became more distant too, and that hurt. For all their differences, the brothers had always been close, able to communicate without words, sharing an unspoken bond. Now, that connection was fraying, leaving Collins feeling more alone than ever. One evening, Collins decided he couldn't let the tension linger. If Clinton is serious about Zita, then they need to talk. He headed to Clinton's room. "We need to talk, Clinton," Collins said. "About what? Zita?" "Yes, Zita," Collins replied. "We can't keep doing this, Clinton. But this situation is tearing us apart and we need to talk about it." Clinton said nothing for a moment. "So you think I'm the one tearing us apart?" Collins shook his head. "I am not saying that. All I'm saying is that you need to tell yourself the truth, Clinton. You know I love Zita. She's the only woman I've loved in my life." Clinton let out a bitter laugh. "So what do you expect me to do about it? Step aside and let you have her?" "Clinton," Collins called out, "I expect you to respect the fact that this is the first time I am talking to you about a lady. We are brothers. We are supposed to understand each other and not fight each other." Clinton stared at Collins for a long time. "You really love her, huh?" "More than I've ever loved anyone," Collins responded. Clinton was stunned. He imagined how his brother can love a lady this much. Finally, Clinton spoke up. "Well, I never meant for it to get this complicated. I like her. She's a nice girl. But I am not in love with her. Not that way. Not the way you do." Collins' heart felt at ease. "So what does that mean?" Collins asked. And Clinton replied, "I mean, I'm not going to stand in your way. If Zita wants to be with you, then I'll back off. But don't think for a second that I'm doing it only because of you. I'm also doing it because of her. I care about her a lot, and she deserves to be with whomever she wants to be with." Collins was really grateful. He couldn't stop thanking Clinton. Zita had spent the past weeks avoiding the brothers as much as possible. She needed time to think, to process the whole emotions, but no amount of time seemed to make the decision easier. One evening, she sat in her room. Just as she was debating whether or not to call Collins, her phone buzzed. It was Clinton. "Can we talk?" Zita hesitated, her heart pounding. She hadn't expected to hear from Clinton. She had been trying to distance herself from him, even at work. "Okay, where?" she replied. They met at a restaurant close to the office. "Thanks for coming," Clinton said to Zita. She nodded. "You're welcome." Clinton took a deep breath. "I'm going to be straight with you, Zita. I know I haven't always been genuine with my feelings, but after everything, I have realized something important. I care about you a lot, Zita, and you should know that. You deserve someone who would love you completely, someone who would cherish you and put you of great importance. But I don't think I'm that person because I am not prepared for any commitment. My brother really loves you, Zita, and I know he will do a perfect job." Zita was surprised. She never expected to hear such from Clinton. She was so joyful in her heart. "Clinton, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. Thank you for being sincere with me. Thank you for being truthful with me. I really do appreciate. Thank you so much." Clinton smiled. And that evening, they retired to their houses. The next day was a weekend. Zita couldn't wait any longer. She called Collins, asking him to meet her at the coffee shop. Zita told Collins everything Clinton had told her, and she confessed her feelings to Collins, apologizing for keeping him mute all this time. Before she could say anything, Collins gave her a tender kiss. The world around them seemed to fade away as they lost themselves in each other's arms. The tension, the uncertainty of the past week, dissolving in that single perfect moment. When they finally pulled away, Collins covered his face and screamed, "I love you, Zita! I love you so, so much." Zita smiled and replied, "I love you too, Collins. and I am so glad I finally found my way to you. The days that followed were beautiful. Collins and Zita began to build their relationship together. Clinton, true to his words, stepped back gracefully, giving his brother and Zita the space they needed to flourish. For the first time in a long time, everything felt right, and Zita leaned into Colin's side, feeling his warmth and love surrounding her. Zita knew that this was just the beginning of their journey, one filled with love, trust, and the future they would build together. Thank you so very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please, if you did, do well to like this video and put your comment below on the comment section. And this is the channel for the Substance 247 cinematic story, where you get the hottest, latest, sweetest story of all time. Subscribe to the channel and let's grow this beautiful story channel together. Thank you so very much, guys. See you all in my next video. Until then, stay splendid.